trusted news source, ABC6 News at noon.
Right now at noon, we begin with our coverage of the coronavirus. And 2 school districts in Rhode Island will be pilots for the state's new Test and Stay program. Essentially, instead of sending students home for showing a single symptom, they'll get tested right at school. And students who test negative can stay in the classroom. ABC6 News reporter Laura Puglisi has more on the program and plans to expand it statewide.
Hundreds of students across the state are being sent home for being a close contact or showing minor symptoms that end up being allergies or the cold. This program could help cut down on the number of students out with the help of testing. Governor Dan McKee and Education Commissioner Angelica Infante Green toured 2 schools hoping to pilot the state's Test and Stay program.
Kids that are close contacts, the parents could have an option to have them tested, and if they're not positive, they stay in school.
Governor Dan McKee says the program is in an exploratory phase, but the hope would be to expand statewide. Westerly and Smithfield are 2 districts hoping to test it out. The superintendent of Westerly schools saying it would be a game changer.
It's not so much the cases. You ask about the number of cases down here. In Westerly, we've had maybe 6 to 8 cases since we've opened, but that results in numerous students going to quarantine for extended periods of time. So perfectly healthy kids are basically just out of school. Since the start of the school year, 1,335 students across the state tested positive for COVID-19 while in school. Education Commissioner Infante Green says the number of students placed in quarantine is much greater than that. That's because of the state health department's COVID playbook, which says students should quarantine if they display a single symptom.
We heard heartbreaking stories of kids that have to go home because they were close contacts. So if they're able to test and stay in the school, they are going to be able to continue to learn.
The Test and Stay program would allow students showing symptoms to get tested immediately. If they test negative, they can stay in school instead of getting sent home to quarantine.
We've been testing all along. So we've been testing in schools, but what happens now is the decision to have them actually stay in the school. So that's what's different, and that's what's important for us, because we need the kids to be in the school.
Now, this program is not in effect yet. This is a trial period, but the goal is that it would become a statewide initiative like it is in so many other states. Reporting in Westerly, I'm Laura Puglisi, ABC6 News.
All right, Laura, thank you. Also today, Pfizer is officially asking the FDA to approve its COVID vaccine for emergency use in 5 to 11-year-olds. According to the company's trial data, a dose 1/3 the size used in adults produced strong immune responses in children when using the same 2-dose regimen. Pfizer submitted that data to the FDA last month, but didn't say until today that it is asking for emergency use authorization. The FDA Advisory Committee will meet on the matter later this month. And new cases of COVID-19 are going down, but the pandemic certainly isn't over. And there is new information on testing, boosters, as well as treatment. In the case of testing, the White House is committing another $1 billion toward rapid at-home testing. With boosters, as the demand for them grows, mass vaccination clinics could make a comeback, especially as more boosters get authorized. And as far as treatments go, an antiviral capsule is being tested, but one expert says it will need a lot more scrutiny from the FDA.
It is much, much better to prevent yourself from getting infected than to having to treat an infection.
Even though the number of new COVID-19 cases each week is dropping, the CDC says the average number of deaths remains fairly consistent. ABC6 News is your trusted local source for all coverage of the coronavirus. For the latest on vaccine mandates and booster shots, just head to our website. That's abc6.com. And now to new details on that deadly crash in West Warwick. The Exeter West Greenwich School District putting out a statement to the community this morning about the 3 former students who died in that accident. That statement saying in part that the district is respecting the privacy of the families impacted and that counselors will be made available. The 3 young adults, all in their 20s, were driving on 95 South around 2 a.m. Tuesday when they went off the road and hit a tree, causing their car to burst into flames. State police say they were going over 100 miles per hour at the time and that weather conditions contributed to the crash. And happening shortly at the State House, Governor McKee unveiling how he'll spend a good chunk of Rhode Island's rescue plan money. The governor outlining a budget amendment that will invest about 10% of the state's $1.1 billion. The governor's office saying that it will be short-term investments in Rhode Island's families, workers, and small businesses. We'll have more from his announcement this afternoon on ABC6 News, first at 4. And the Providence City Council will pursue a termination hearing for the city clerk at its meeting tonight. The council says city clerk Sean Selleck was found to have violated conduct policies, creating a toxic work environment as part of an independent investigation. Selleck was previously removed from his position, but was reinstated following an internal human resources investigation. Now the council wants him out, so they're taking steps toward a public hearing. The council is expected to work on charges to submit to the mayor tonight. The Red Sox are getting ready for Game 1 of the ALDS against the Tampa Bay Rays tonight. The Rays had a stellar regular season, winning a franchise record 100 games. Tampa Bay has announced that lefty Shane McClanahan will get the start in Game 1. The Sox will counter with Eduardo Rodriguez, with Chris Sale expected to pitch in Game 2. And now to the weather as we take a live look outside right now with our Skycam. And would you look at that? What a day out there. A perfect October afternoon. Chelsea is standing by the Weather Center with our first forecast. Hi, Chelsea.
Hey, Doreen. Yeah, our 2 rainy days on Monday and Tuesday were kind of our payment for these beautiful days that we have right now. We're really lucky with yesterday afternoon, today. Typically this time of year, we should be in the 60s. Instead, we're in the low to mid 70s. A nice mild day outside for the early part of October and a few days of some really nice weather outside. Temperatures for most of us in the upper 60s and low to even mid 70s, a few degrees warmer right now than where we were yesterday at this time. So even a bit better today than yesterday afternoon. And we all know yesterday afternoon was absolutely beautiful. Satellite radar image is quiet. You're seeing sunshine. You're seeing a few passing fair weather clouds at times, but overall a zoomed out view of the Northeast shows you dry conditions, and that's going to continue for the remainder of the afternoon. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s range for highs today, above that average of 67 for the Providence area, and we have a clear, cool, comfortable night ahead of us once again. Tomorrow kind of a repeat of today, but things change up a little bit for the weekend. I'll have much more in just a few minutes. Doreen?
Chelsea, thank you. In national political news this afternoon, a deal to raise the debt limit may be coming together, but only for a temporary fix. ABC's Ika Jachi is in Washington with more.
After hours of negotiations with his Republican counterpart, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced the crisis over the debt limit has been temporarily averted.
We have reached agreement to extend the debt ceiling through early December, and it's our hope that we can get this done as soon as today.
Without a deal in 2 weeks, the nation will default on its loans if Congress fails to raise the debt ceiling, something that's never happened before. Experts saying the impact on the economy would be catastrophic.
Millions of jobs would be lost, and millions of seniors who depend on Social Security for their support would have to make awful choices, such as deciding whether to pay rent or buy groceries.
Wednesday, President Biden going on the offensive, traveling to Michigan to speak to business leaders and CEOs about the ramifications of failing to raise the debt ceiling, pointing at Republicans as the cause for the potential economic disaster.
The path Republicans offer would take us right to the brink and cause irreparable economic damage, in my view.
After facing mounting pressure, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell reversing course and offering Democrats a path forward to raise the debt ceiling.
The pathway our Democratic colleagues have accepted will spare the American people any near-term crisis.
Now, Schumer says he hopes the Senate will vote today to raise the debt ceiling by $480 billion, which the Treasury Department says is the amount needed to make it through December 3rd. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Washington.
And still to come on ABC6 News at noon, new details in a school shooting in Texas yesterday that left 4 people injured. The family of the gunman now speaking out. And a major development in the battle over abortion rights as a judge in Texas blocks a controversial abortion bill. New details now in that school shooting in Texas yesterday. The family of the young man who allegedly opened fire on his classmates now claim he bought a handgun for protection after being bullied for wearing nice clothes and driving a nice car. 18-year-old Timothy George Simpkins is accused of opening fire after getting into a fight with another student, injuring 4 people. He then took off, police tracking down his car a few hours later. His family is now saying that he was trying to protect himself after allegedly being robbed twice at the school.
He was scared. He was afraid. There's a video that's all out on social media, and it shows that he was being attacked. We're not justifying that. That was not right. But he was trying to protect himself.
A 15-year-old remains in critical condition. Simpkins is now charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Also in Texas, a federal judge has temporarily blocked a new restrictive abortion law that went into effect last month. The judge stopping enforcement of the law, which bans abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
Flagrantly unconstitutional. That's what a federal judge deemed the strictest abortion law in the nation before blocking the state of Texas from enforcing it for now.
Clearly, he believes that the way the laws are in effect now, the federal laws with respect to abortion, that those should be followed, those should be adhered to.
In a 113-page opinion, the judge calling the abortion ban an offensive deprivation of an important right after the Justice Department sued Texas to challenge it.
This is a really major victory for the Biden Justice Department.
The law bans abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy with no exception for rape or incest. It also gives private citizens the right to sue anyone who aids and abets an unlawful abortion. ABC News was there when the law went into effect last month.
She was crying, and then we began to explore options and think through the logistics of if she would be able to go out of state for the care that she needed.
In a statement, White House officials call this an important step forward, but also say there's much more to go in the battle over abortion rights. The state of Texas has appealed the judge's ruling, which means the law could end up in the Supreme Court again. Some providers are now hesitant to offer abortions again, worried they may be sued retroactively if the law is reinstated. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Coming up, record rainfall. Italy seeing enough rain in half a day to equal an average year in Seattle. And teaching Alexa to be more patient. We'll have more on the new upgrade to Amazon's virtual assistant. Well, authorities believe that they've identified the source of that massive oil spill off California's coast. The U.S. Coast Guard released this underwater video of the damaged pipeline right near Huntington Beach. A 4,000-foot section of the pipe was bent and had a 13-inch rupture, which caused 144,000 gallons of crude oil to leak into the Pacific Ocean. Officials are still investigating what damaged the pipeline in the first place. Over 2 feet of rain falling in Italy in just half a day. A series of storms causing over 29 inches of rain to fall in just 12 hours, shattering records. To put that into perspective, 36 inches is roughly equivalent to the average rainfall one would expect in Seattle in a year. And it would take London an average of 15 months to tally up that much rain.
And now, your ABC6 Storm Tracker weather with meteorologist Chelsea Priest.
And here we are thinking our 2 inches of rain on Monday was a lot. All of that rain from earlier this week, a thing of the past. Yesterday afternoon was beautiful. Today is even a touch nicer, I would say. We've been bright from start to finish. We have mild temperatures in place. It's tough to remember that it actually is still October and fall out there. To find that fall foliage, you definitely have to go up into northern New England in the next coming days. We're not going to peak for a little bit longer here in southern New England. You are looking at Oklahoma State right now, actually, where I went to college, and you could see some great colors up in New Hampshire at the moment. So if you're trying to get in some foliage a little bit farther north, just a couple hours, and you'll get some really great colors peaking shortly. Temperature-wise here in southern New England, low to mid-70s outside. 73 in Providence right now, 69 in Newport, 71 in New Bedford, 68 in Westerly, 67 for Block Island, so a few degrees cooler for our coastal spots. But all of us running a couple of degrees warmer right now compared to where we were yesterday at this time. So as I said, even a little bit better today compared to yesterday and still above average. Most of us have calm winds, otherwise just light and variable outside for the rest of the day today, through tonight and into tomorrow as well. Tomorrow looks like a very similar day to today, maybe just a few more clouds around at times. Satellite radar image is quiet. Perfect sunshine across southern New England at the moment. In fact, a wider view of the Northeast shows you dry conditions and sunshine outside for all of New England right now. A little bit of a wider view does show you activity down to our south and our west. You can see some clouds and some rain. You can also see some heavy rain off the coast of South Carolina. That's that area that the National Hurricane Center has been watching. A low chance of development in the coming days, but there is a small potential. The National Hurricane Center continuing to watch that area. For us, we have high pressure in control, low pressure off to our west, and we're going to stick with the high pressure for today and for tomorrow. I do anticipate a few more clouds into the weekend, so the breeze picks up a little bit and temperatures will be seasonable, highs in the mid-60s. Your futurecast shows you dry conditions for the rest of the day today. We're clear outside overnight with temperatures back down into the upper 40s and low to mid-50s. Very similar how we started the day today and yesterday. We head through your evening hours tomorrow. There's a few clouds that may pass through, and then into Saturday morning, there's definitely more clouds out there. A couple models have a few little sprinkles showing up for Saturday morning. I don't think we get a lot of rain, but it may be damp on Saturday morning with a lot of clouds lingering for much of the day. Here's that area I was just talking about that the National Hurricane Center is watching. There's a small percentage that becomes a tropical system in the next 48 hours right off the coast of the Carolinas right now, continuing to push farther towards the northeast. Other than that, things are very quiet in the Atlantic basin, so hopefully we can keep things that way. Mainly sunny right now, an overall great day. Temps in the mid-70s. Tonight will be clear, cool, comfortable, lows getting down into the low to mid-50s. Outside of the city, there will likely be some 40s once again. Tomorrow looks like a day very similar to today. I do think you get a few more passing clouds coming in and out, but still really nice conditions. Temperatures still above average in the low to mid-70s. Again, into the weekend, there's definitely more clouds around. I don't necessarily see a lot of rain in the weekend forecast, still kind of narrowing that down. It'll be cooler but seasonable with temperatures in the mid-60s. It's short-lived, though, back into the 70s for next week. Doreen?
Lights holiday display is back at Gillette Stadium again this year. The drive-through experience will run from November 19th through Christmas Eve. The event was pretty popular last year as a COVID-friendly family experience. Tickets start at $40 per vehicle. They go on sale a week from today. Well, coming up next, Russian hackers proving quite successful at targeting government sites. And good vibes only. Twitter's new warning that alerts you to toxic conversations. In consumer news this afternoon, a new report finds Russian hackers are becoming harder to stop. According to Microsoft, Russia's success rate at getting unauthorized access to systems has risen from 21% to 32%. And more of their targets are government organizations. 58% of government-linked hacking attempts originate in Russia. Twitter is testing a new feature to help users avoid heated conversations. The feature would warn users if they're about to jump into a discussion that could turn toxic. A message will pop up saying conversations like this can be intense. No word yet whether Twitter plans to roll out the feature to everyone. And Amazon's Alexa is learning how to be a little bit more patient. A new feature now gives you extra time to pose your questions or commands. So even if it takes a while to gather your thoughts, Alexa will wait instead of just cutting you off. Users will need to switch the feature on in settings. Well, still to come here at noon, a more than 500-year-old dish sells at auction for a pretty penny. What makes this old plate so special? Plus, Chelsea has another look at that afternoon forecast when we come back. Well, finally this afternoon, an old dish found in the drawer of a Scottish country house just sold at auction for a very pretty penny. That's because it turned out to be the work of a famed 16th century Italian artist. The dish is believed to have been created circa 1520 to 1523. It depicts the biblical story of Samson and Delilah. So how much did someone pay for the historic plate? $1.4 million.
Is a dishwasher safe?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Naturally.
Worth it. Worth
Yes.
it. Totally. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yes, $1.4 million. It's a plate.
Her plate. Okay. Got it.
There you go.
I'm going to start painting all the plates at home and trying to sell them.
Check the back.
Yeah. Be on the lookout. We are looking at just a beautiful day across southern New England. Temps are in the mid-70s out there, mild for this time of year. We head into tomorrow, a similar day, maybe a few more clouds around, and then definitely seeing more clouds and cooler temperatures for the weekend. It's not a huge cool down, though. The average high is 67, so we're kind of right around there. And we actually warm back up again into next week.
Quite a 7-day, Chelsea. All right, thank you. And thank you for joining us for the news at noon. The news continues first at 4. Have a great afternoon, everybody.